Hi everyone, it's Jen, and this is an introduction to spreadsheets and Excel. So what is a spreadsheet? A spreadsheet consists of columns and rows. It is used to organize and calculate data. You can see in this sample image that we have many months of tracking expense trends. We have data in rows for different expenses and for different months. You can see a chart that collects all this in a visual display of the changes in the expenses. These are common features used in Excel. Excel is a spreadsheet application software much like Word is a document processing or word processing application software. So where did it all start? It started with early computers. Now you're probably wondering why I don't have a picture of those big early computers that took up a whole city block. Well, that's because prior to the advent of PCs with spreadsheet software in the 1980s, most business data entry and calculations were done by hand by human computers. What else do you notice about these images? Well, you can see that the genders were not very diverse of these early computers, that they were mainly women. However, their ethnicities and backgrounds were very diverse, so these groups of women would sit in back rooms and make these challenging calculations and check each other's work as they went. This was a common job for women in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. Then along came VisiCalc. VisiCalc was the first spreadsheet application used on the Apple II. It was also what is called the first killer application, and this is computer nerd speak for an application that's so desirable that customers are willing to pay for the often very expensive hardware needed just to use this application. So for example, if this was going on nowadays, it would be like if there was this really cool app that maybe was free or barely cost anything, but it was only available on the newest, latest version of the iPhone. So people were willing to pay the thousands of dollars to get a new iPhone just to get that app. So VisiCalc came in as this killer app and it did the calculations in the PC, in the computer. So this saved businesses large and small lots of money and time and unfortunately lots of jobs. So then it became important for people to understand how to use the spreadsheet application software rather than to be the computer calculating. So what can you use Excel and spreadsheets for? We use Excel for everything from accounting to budgeting, billing and sales, data reporting and analyzing, planning sheets. So this means everything from shopping lists to taxes and research, timesheets and inventory, and even things like calendar creation. Some of the amazing features in spreadsheets digital spreadsheets, that is, are the automatic calculations. So if you don't really like math that much, you're going to really like this part of Excel. Excel will allow you to enter numbers in and do the calculations for you. And these calculations can be anything from something very simple like adding things together to super complex statistical analysis. It also allows for really quick revision and what-if scenarios. So, for example, if somebody wants to change one item in the budget and see how it will affect all the other numbers, they can do that super quickly. Or if they want to see if they switch their processing times or their construction times and how much it will spread out over the year, they can create these what-if scenarios. It also allows for really quick instant organization, so filtering and sorting and all sorts of things like that. And what you'll also see is that it works with all the other Office programs. So Microsoft Office is all meant to work together, so you could create some calculations and a chart and go ahead and use that in a report in Word quite easily and with all sorts of fancy advanced features. You'll notice here that we have our Excel icons, just like we have Word icons. Each program has its own icon. The most modern ones have these graded different colored stripes, but you may have a different version where you'll see a version of this Word or Excel icon. Excel files have the file extension .xlsx, and older versions will have .xls. Word files will end in .docx. When I get to this slide, usually students are super excited because it shows that the many basic features that you have in Microsoft Word are also available in Excel. So you, for the most part, don't have to relearn them. The clipboard group where you can copy, cut, and paste is the same. The font group where you can make things bold or change colors or font styles, same. File tab where you save your files is the same. Insert tab where you have illustrations where you can insert shapes and images from online or your computer device, also the same. There's also themes and styles. There's margins and page orientation. Those are also the same. Being able to size and zoom in your window, also the same. The paragraph group and alignment group is very, very similar. It just has a little bit different features because you're storing your information inside boxes that we call cells. Here is an overview of the worksheet window. You can take a look at this on your slideshow as well. And there's a whole video that gives you a tour of this worksheet, so make sure that you check that out. Microsoft Excel worksheets are huge, so you never have to worry about running out of space. They have 18,270 columns and 1,048,516 rows. So don't worry about running out of room. As I mentioned before, cells are where a row and column intersect. So this cell is the active cell, and you can tell that it is the active cell because it has a dark green border around it. So what is the active cell in this particular picture? You call the cell by the letter and number, much like you're playing a game of bingo or battleship. So what is the active cell or cell reference? If you guessed B8, you'd be right. Some other important terms to remember is that there is a name box at the top of your Excel spreadsheet that tells you the active cell. Also is the formula bar, which will contain the information that is inside the cell that you're working in, whether it's the formula or just the text that appears. Also, the letter and number of your active cell will be highlighted. So that's it. That's the beginning of understanding spreadsheets and Excel. Let's go try out Excel now.